All right, welcome back, crime fighters. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted, the program where you get to help make Calhoun County a better and safer place by helping us lock up the bad guys. I'm Chris Wright, your host, along with our sheriff, Matthew Wade. Good to see you, Sheriff.
Always good to be on the show, Chris. I appreciate you being here with me.
And good to be able to wear short sleeves right now, isn't it?
I tell you what, I think the weatherman said today was the hottest day we've had in 7 years. And in the wintertime, we always talk about delaying school and being warm and staying safe. But I think in the summer months, we kind of tend to overlook that a little bit. And it's really dangerously hot out there right now.
Yeah, certainly for these kids that are out there getting ready for the new football season. And don't forget the band out there practicing as well. And then, of course, we got workers that are working outside. And then there's also, we forget about people that are not outside, but they don't have proper air conditioning. And one of the dangers that comes along with this heat, it's not just how hot it gets during the day, it's how cool it doesn't get at night. When we don't get down below 70 degrees or so at night, then people don't have a chance to cool down from that heat. And if it stays above 75 or up to 80 degrees or more at night, then you really have a dangerous situation for people who have been overheated for an extended period of time.
Absolutely. Then you add to that most people, including myself, like to drink something other than water. Mm-hmm. And people don't get enough, drinking 10 Diet Cokes in a day is not hydrating yourself.
No.
So, I mean, we need to drink water, things that have electrolytes in them, things that will replenish your body with the fuel that it needs. And I think a lot of people don't do that. But coffee and sodas is not hydrating yourself during the day. So
no, that's not going to do it for you. Get some good water and some other things. Take care of yourself there. And when it's really hot and you stop sweating, that's not a good sign.
It's a medical emergency, and if you stop sweating, you need to go to the doctor immediately. You start drinking fluids. I think if you're outside working in this heat, you probably need to be drinking a quart of water probably every hour, if not more. So you're going to be losing it, a lot. I think last night somebody sent me a screenshot where it was still felt like 93 degrees at like 10 o'clock at night. So it's very dangerous, and people need to be aware of it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, fortunately, you can help us without even getting off the couch. We'll have the first half of this week's lineup when we come back on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. All right, it's an abbreviated lineup this week. The first half starts with Michael Haywood of Sylacauga. He is wanted on a failure to appear warrant for possession of marijuana, 2nd degree. Kimberly Weathers of Lynn Haven, Florida, wanted on failure to appear warrants for receiving stolen property, 4th degree, and possession of a controlled substance. Nigel Kelly of Madison, wanted on a failure to appear warrant for receiving stolen property, 3rd degree. And Jamarcus Ackles of Piedmont is wanted on failure to appear warrant for conspiracy, theft of property. If you have any information, please contact Calhoun County Crime Stoppers at 256-238-1414. All right, here we go with the fun part of the show. We get to talk about some good things happening in the community, Sheriff.
Absolutely, and this week is a special week for the town of Hobson City.
And we've got our mayor, Alberta McCrory, here. And also Harold Smith is with the reunion committee. And so the anniversary coming up is what, 120 years? Is that right, Mayor?
Absolutely, 120 years for the town of Hobson City here in Alabama.
That is great, 120 years. So Sheriff, what was it like on that first day?
Hot, just like it is today. It's reminiscent of being hot.
None of us were around at the time, but Mayor, you've been around and serving the town for quite a while now. What's the buzz here? We've got 200 years for the state of Alabama, 120 years for Hobson City, and people are excited about it, aren't they?
We are excited about that, and we'll be celebrating our part of our bicentennial when we do our community night in white, as well as when we are in the park on Saturday. But let me stop first and thank you all for having us here this morning so that we can talk about Hobson City and the activities that are going on this week. So I want to thank Sheriff Wade and Captain Meters for having us to come here this morning. But it's a very exciting time in Hobson City, and it's an exciting time in terms of our history, because we're celebrating 400 years since Africans first came to America in 1619, and then here we are with Alabama in 1819 and Hobson City in 1899. So, you know, we have all of these things so we have a lot of good reasons to celebrate. So we started off our celebration last night with an old-fashioned tent revival in the park, and that was facilitated by the New Hope Baptist Church, which has always been, from the very beginning, a very important piece of the history of Hobson City. And the young man who preached last night is from the Welcome Chapel CME Church. He's a pastor, and he's also a gospel rapper. And his name is Reverend Ashley. So he's new in Hobson City, but we're very glad to have him in Hobson City. And we'll continue on Thursday night. That's when we will have the community night in white. So we're asking all of the members of the community to come out. And this year we have a theme that says, "Tell them we are rising." And that theme came about as a result of a documentary that was done on historic black colleges and universities. And it comes from a statement that was made one gentleman to another. And there's a gentleman by the name of Richard Robert Wright, who was born into slavery in Dalton, Georgia. And years later, he served in the Civil War. And he started a school that is now Savannah State University. Okay, so then there was this other guy, I won't say guy, a gentleman, who served in the Union Army, and his name was Oliver Otis Howard. And he went on to be president after serving in the Union Army. He went on to be president of Howard University. And he also was a member of the American Missionary Association. And they sent him south to check on the people in Georgia and to go to the school and see what they were doing. And he said, "What do I tell my people when I go back?" And he said, "Tell them we are rising." And so, and that's just so, when you consider our history and the struggles, and you know some of the problems we've had without having police in Hobson City, not having our own police department. The sheriff has been, you know, just a bulwark in terms of helping us to do the things that we need to do. Because we couldn't have activities like we're having on Saturdays, where you got more than 1,500 people. There's no way that you can, a few people, you know, can control 1,500 people. Some of them, half of them you don't know. So we thank them for, first of all, Sheriff, for you and for the city of Oxford and for the city of Anniston for the contributions you make to Hobson City to help us be safe, because it's so very important that you have that safety net. And so I want to thank you all for helping us to make these things happen in Hobson City.
Yes, ma'am.
If you just came to Alabama, you looked at a map, and you look at population figures and such, you'd overlook Hobson City. In most cases, people would just, okay, well, that's okay, move on, let's find a bigger town or something. There's a history of Hobson City that makes it one of the most important towns in Alabama. Why is that?
Because of the history, because of how Hobson City was founded after slavery, some 35 years after slavery. There were people living in what was known as Maury Quarters, and that was the black settlement that was part of Oxford. And at some point, maybe in late 1890s, a black gentleman ran for the office of Justice of the Peace, and he won that election. So there were some blacks who held land, who owned land, who had jobs, and who were eligible to vote. And so it was said that the person who ran for mayor of Oxford at that time said that if this black person won that election, that he would go to the state and have the lines redrawn so that that would exclude Maury Quarter from the township of Oxford. And that's what happened. So these people were left out in the county for about 3 years. And the story goes that they went to an attorney in Anniston by the name of Ross Black, who encouraged them to incorporate their own city. And so we had this group of men, and I'm sure there were some women behind them, but you know, during the time, there were these men. And there's this white attorney who helps them, because at that time, blacks could not even practice law in the state of Alabama. And so they asked that they be a separate municipality with the authority to govern themselves. And I know the New York Times, and it may have been some other newspapers who stated that, you know, they're going to wait to see when the party started and what this project was going to look like. And because this was unusual in the state of Alabama. There were some other black towns in the South that had already established themselves, and then there were a lot of them that were established, but they were not incorporated. So Hobson City has the distinction of being the first black town in the state of Alabama to be incorporated. But then that history changes a little bit, because in I won't say it changes a little bit, it changes a whole lot. But then it also looks at how Hobson City was so determined to keep on existing. And most of the people who lived there were farmers and what have you. But in 1909, because 2 white men were arrested in Hobson City for running whiskey, and it was a big uproar in the white community. I understand from the newspaper accounts that, you know, the white guys were going to come to Hobson City and just tear up the city and all this stuff, because no white man had ever been arrested by a black man and had to go before a black judge in the state of Alabama. So at some point, the town's charter was abolished. And we don't know all of the details of what was in the bill that abolished it, because there are only about 2 or 3 lines that said, you know, the legislature met, somebody presented the bill, and Governor B.B. Comer signed the bill, and that supposedly was supposed to wipe out Hobson City.
But you're still here.
Still
and
here.
ready to
after all
celebrate
these
120 years.
Absolutely.
We need to take a quick break, and then we want to talk about the reunion itself here in just a few minutes. We'll be back. We'll have the second half of this week's lineup and more of the fascinating history and current and future of Hobson City when we come back on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. All right, here we go with the second half of this week's lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Dakia Mack of Birmingham, wanted on a failure to appear warrant for theft by deception, 3rd degree. Marissa Mobbs of Center, wanted for failure to pay for illegal possession of prescription drugs. Tiffany McFarland of Talladega, wanted on a failure to appear warrant for theft of property, 4th degree. Again, if you have any information that can help us find these individuals, please contact Calhoun County Crime Stoppers at 256-238-1414. All right, we will have our Crime Stoppers segment and our Crazy Criminal of the Week in just a few minutes, but right now we're talking about Hobson City. We've been hearing from Mayor Alberta McCrory, and Harold Smith is with us as well with the reunion committee. So tell us, Harold, what can we look forward to? What's going on?
Well, the reunion, we started it, this will be our 6th year. We started it as a family and community event where families come together and be able to come out and see other families, people that have moved away, and over the last several years it has been growing bigger and bigger each year. People come as far as California. We've had them come from New York to come down to the city. Just they plan their vacation just to come down to see people they hadn't seen in years.
And you know, that may come as a surprise to some people, because some people have perceptions of Hobson City that are not necessarily based in reality. And it's great to see people coming in and getting to see Hobson City as it is.
Yeah, I grew up there, been there all my life. My parents raised us all up, 7 kids, 5 boys and 2 girls, and we all love our hometown just like other people do. Whether they're in Oxford or Nelson, they love their hometown also. But we try to show love. We show that we are people that have respect for others. We love coming together, you know, at the reunion, the food, the fun, just the relaxation. We know it's hot out there, but you know, it's so much fun. You get a chance to see people that you don't normally see. And you know, like I said, I want to thank Sheriff Wade for the job that they do for the coming out, providing security. And you know, like the last couple of years, you know, it's funny that we find the deputies walking around, every time they pass a tent, they got a different plate. But you know, it's all in fun, it's all in love. All in love. and we just like for people to come out and just enjoy themselves. You know, you got people that have other intentions every now and then, but thank be to God that we're able to just move them on out the way and just enjoy it.
Yeah, when you're celebrating, you're not just celebrating 120 years ago what happened. You're celebrating Hobson City today.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
there's a lot to celebrate.
There's a lot to celebrate. You know, like Ma'am McCory said, we're 120 years old. Anything could have happened in 120 years where Hobson City wouldn't be in existence right now. But thanks be to God that we're still in existence. We're still showing love. People are still coming out of. We've had some great athletes to come out of Hobson City, basketball, football. You know, and years ago we had our own little baseball team, the Hobson City Tigers baseball team. But a lot of people have forgotten all about that kind of stuff. But we're still there. We're still existing. We're still enjoying life. We're still having fun.
All right. And Mayor, I'm sure you invite anybody to come by and see Hobson City for themselves.
Absolutely, come and see Hobson City, and we have a mayor's banquet on Friday night. But then on Friday morning, we have an economic development forum that's being facilitated by Dr. Menifee, who's with the University of Alabama Economic Development Center. We'll be presenting on economic development in small underserved towns. And we will have a workshop on health and mental health that's facilitated by Meg Smith. And then on Saturday, Friday night, we have the banquet. Then on Saturday morning, we're having a street renaming ceremony because we have a citizen, Mrs. Willie M. Atkinson, who will turn 100 years old on the 20th of August. And to record, she's the oldest person who was born in Hobson City who has reached that age. And
100
on the 20th. On the 20th.
The 120th.
Yeah, 100. and so we're naming this street in honor of her. She has lived on the same street all of her life. She lives next door to the house that she was born in.
I bet she could tell you some stories.
Absolutely. And then her son, who was Dean of Veterinary Medicine at Tuskegee, who passed away, we're honoring him because of all the work that he did. And people really don't know people in Hobson City. If they knew us and knew our history and knew our struggle and how we continue to exist and the kinds of people who come out of Hobson City. I came out of Hobson City.
That's the only way you can measure any town is the people.
The people.
The people.
And we're only as good as the people who call Hobson City home, the people who love Hobson City. And there's a young lady by the name of Vanessa. He was talking about the family reunion. Vanessa Irvin and two young ladies, Katrina Burks, they wanted to see a different and better Hobson City, and it was their idea to start this family reunion.
That's great.
And so we're glad, to have people like that and Harold and the rest of them who are working to make Hobson City as we rise.
That's great. Well, I encourage everybody to come out and see it for yourself. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And for 120 more years, hopefully soon.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We will be back with the Crime Stopper segment of the show and our crazy criminal of the week on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. All right, we've got some interesting items here on the Crime Stopper segment of the show today. On July 29th, a 2008 Shivers utility trailer was reported stolen from a residence on Post Oak Road in Jacksonville. Between July 27th and July 29th, a white enclosed utility trailer containing a Porter Campbell air compressor, torpedo heater, pressure washer, Black & Decker sanders and jigsaw, a popcorn sealing sprayer, and numerous other tools was stolen from a residence on Cross Creek Trail. On July 31st, an unknown person stole 4 steel weed eaters, 2 blowers, 2 edgers, 2 sprayers, and various other yard tools from a utility trailer. And then on August 1st, another theft of yard tools occurred at the same location on Highway 431. On August 4th, 2 backpack leaf blowers, steel head trimmers, edger, and a steel combi unit were stolen from a work truck while it was parked at a location on Little John Road in Jacksonville. On August 5th, around 12:30 a.m., an illegal entry of 2 vehicles occurred at a residence on Lay Drive in Alexandria. A naked white male covered in mud was seen in one of the vehicles before running away. Also on August 5th, a Chevrolet Silverado was stolen from a residence on Gate 5 Road in Alexandria. It was recovered on Morrisville Road in Anniston. Mud was found inside the truck. And on August 5th, a vehicle was illegally entered at an apartment complex on Blackberry Lane in Alexandria. If you have any information about these cases, which may in some cases be connected, please call Calhoun County Crime Stoppers at 256-238-1414.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
All right, here we are at the beginning of football season. Everybody's excited, but almost a disaster at Georgia State, where a quarterback was arrested for a drug charge. The quarterback for Washington State, they found a white substance on his car, and he claimed that he was framed by a bird. He said, "That's not cocaine, that's bird poop." They said, "No, it's cocaine." They arrested him. Well, guess what?
It's bird poop.
It was bird poop.
You know, and that's just shameful by law enforcement. You know, that's the reason why we get talked about right there. I mean, if you can't tell the difference between cocaine and bird poop, you might should get a different job, is all I'm saying.
Is it standard to look for cocaine on the outside of a vehicle?
You know, I guess somebody can maybe throw it out the window or something, but I mean, if you can't tell the difference between bird poop and cocaine, you need another job. You know, I hope they didn't do those, you know, you see on TV where they're, you know.
On that note, we're going to wrap things up.
If you can't tell the difference between the two, go get another job.
We'll be looking for you again next week, but hopefully not in the lineup or tasting bird poop off somebody's car on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.